I think it's a good idea to. Hi, Sam. I'm about to.
Are you ready, sir?
Ready to go.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll do a quick introduction.
Okay.
All here. Okay, good evening everybody and welcome to the last in the series of this current spring school on service management. Tonight we're due for a rousing finale. No pressure. From Daniel Breston and John McDermott. Daniel will talk about lead IT service management. John will talk about service integration and management. Siam, right? It's all in the name. And without further ado, I'll pass across to Dan.
Good evening, everybody. How many of you guys have been to the other weeks? Oh, great. Were they good? Very good. Very good. John, you're up. No question. I'm from Texas. I've been in the UK for the last 15 years. I now have a dual citizenship. I've paid for that privilege. I've worked all over the EU, the UK. Unfortunately, I had to work 3 years in the Bahamas for a bank. Sometimes you get, the rough jobs. Yeah, tough deals. I've been in IT services and operations for a long time. Like a really long time. And I've worked for large organizations, little organizations, coaching, consulting, whatever. So my last major job was head of UBS IT Europe for everything outside of Switzerland, because the Swiss are Swiss and they don't ever let a Texan play in Switzerland. But I've been consulting and stuff like that ever since. And how many of you have had the ITIL examination, foundation, or whatever like that? Yeah, I'm sorry I went and wrote some of the questions. So you can throw things at me later. One of the things I do like doing is I like asking a lot of questions. So the first question I'm going to ask you guys is, do any of these things sound familiar to you? Do you have the situation where you don't have the right staff? Do you have the situation where in the same meeting, your management asks you to do something and then changes their mind and then changes their mind again and then tells you to still do it but doesn't give you the right level of budget? Are you still trying to figure out how to get cloud and bring your own device and everything in and keep up with all the new technologies that are happening? Yep, these things are all familiar. Well, in the IT service management world, we've come up with an agenda where we think people are still having these issues. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to bring back to basics IT service management, good practices, whether they're ITIL or COVID or Lean, DevOps, Agile, whatever you like to call it. We like to look at skills. So we like to figure out exactly what are the right type of skills for people. And when you get these calls from recruiters, and they tell you, have you had foundation in ITIL, or do you happen to have the red badge, which is still a weird question because that was like last century. So you've got to figure out all this managing complexity. And oh, by the way, there's a tweet night for all of these different things. So the next tweet night for managing complexity is April the 16th at 8 o'clock at night. So you go into tweet, and you can look at ITSM Big 4, it's the hashtag, and you might see like a couple hundred people around the world usually attend these different tweet sessions. So they're a lot of fun. I didn't realize what they were like until I was drunk one night. They told me I was going to be doing one. And then the last one is IT service management and Agile, how to get DevOps, how to blend with all the different strategies out there. The thing that's amazing is that, do you all recognize this? Because you said that you took the exam thingy. So this was supposed to fix all the issues that we had on the first slide, right? This is why we developed this. And then over time, it iterated into having a strategy and then figuring out how to design against that, and then transitioning into operations, or as we like to say, throwing it over the wall. And then continuously improve. Well, no. How many of you continuously improve anything? Okay, one at a time, not everybody. All right, so do you all realize that this isn't just a cycle of a cycle? This is a cycle within cycles, right? So your service strategy, you go and design the service strategy, and then you go and transition that service strategy into live, and you continually improve that strategy. In the way that you design stuff, you go and create a strategy around that. And that's acceptance criteria, some people call that DevOps, goes and integrates into your production environment, and you go and improve that. And the way that you do changes, and you transition those changes in with all your different tools. I mean, DevOps isn't a new thing to me. My ex-roommate was the head of development. I was the head of computer operations and service management. We would argue at work. We would leave work and go to a Texas bar where we would argue. And then we go back to the apartment and we argue some more. So, you know, this dev and ops not getting along isn't new. The tools have changed. Once upon a time, COBOL was a new language. Okay? So how you do all this stuff and how you integrate it all together, IT service management, ITIL, COVID, whichever you like to use, is just a framework. And one of the things I was discovering was that we've forgotten who we were doing it for. So who are we doing IT for? Who do we do IT for? I'm sorry?
Customers and users.
Customers and users. Well, being from the great state of Texas, customer is a big word. And we looked up customer. And it's made to order for them. It's not, this is what we'd like you to have and use today, whether you like it or not. This is what you're going to get, IT. This is what would you like to use and why would you like to use it? So we do everything from the customer's perspective. And when people started talking like that, all of a sudden we realized we were going to pull these ideas from the customer and we were going to give them what they wanted for a change, which was what ITIL and IT service management is supposed to be all about. Managing the services that are technology-based for your customer's perspective. And if you think about it in that way, there's only two questions. And lead and IT service management have the same question. Any guesses? What are the two questions that the customer is ever going to care about? Or that you ever care about the customer?
When, how much?
When and how much? Okay? When are they happy with us? We're up, we're available, we're reliable, we're secure. We're not NatWest or RBC or the TFL over the weekend who was down for 9 hours. And their service desk, bless them, was absolutely amazing. They were trying to do everything that they could with no technology. Okay? So, and the flip question is, when are they not happy? When are they not happy with us? Okay? These two, my first CIO turned into a very interesting key performance indicator. You guys know what a key performance indicator is, a KPI? Do you have an example of a KPI you guys use? Anybody?
Server uptime.
Server uptime? That to me is a metric. The reason why is that I need to make a decision from the customer's perspective. So the server being up doesn't help me manage the customer. The server being up helps me manage myself. Okay? So the CIO had a very interesting analogy. He said, you only have one key performance indicator, and you will not find this key performance indicator in any one of your 3,267 ITIL pages. I said, okay, what's that, boss? He said, it's mean time between kicking. If I walk out of my office and I don't get kicked, then I don't walk into your office and kick you. Now, however you want to go and take that key performance indicator and translate it down to your teams, we don't care. In which case, server uptime, network time, storage availability, did the batch jobs run for a change? All of that fit into that mean time between kicking. But from his perspective, if he was able to satisfy the customer and make them happy, then he had delivered something to order for them. And that brought us to lean. Einstein had this really good quote: if you keep doing things over and over again and it's not working, stop. I kept trying to do ITIL over and over again, and I was missing something. I couldn't figure out what I was missing. And what I was missing was being able to actually talk to and deal with the customer. And I'll give you guys an example. I'll give you guys a story in a few minutes about what I mean by that. Oops, this is very sensitive, okay? But it got us to start thinking a little bit differently. It got us to look at the ITIL service lifecycle as a life cycle of managing technology instead of just a certificate to hang in your desk drawer. It really got us thinking about, well, what are the values associated from the customer's perspective? You brought up a very good point. Cost. Minimize risk. Optimize resources, including people, by the way. Remove silly things. I know you guys have heard that Lean does a lot of waste removal. You know, there's lots of Japanese words, I'm not going to use them. But we remove silly things. And we'll have an example of that in a second. We'll increase flexibility. And the reason why we increase flexibility is, how many of you have a service desk? Everybody here have a service desk? Is your service desk at the bottom of the IT organization or at the top of the IT organization? Bottom. Interesting. If we do things from the customer's perspective, who's the person that we pay 40 to 50 hours a week to do nothing more than pick up the phone and go, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, why are you angry at us now? Now, they don't actually say that when they pick up the phone. It's, hi, how can I help you? Okay, or some boring way of saying that. But literally, that's what they're saying, right? Every time. Every time you pick up the phone, your customer is telling you something. I want something, and I don't like you. In those two key performance metrics, you can turn to your advantage. You can turn that into, this is what I should be putting into my service catalog. This is what I should be designing my strategy against. They don't care about cloud. They care about what are they going to do when they come into work and how can they make money. So what we want to do is we want to try to do this in such a way that we let the people on the floor that are closest to us tell us what's wrong. If I go over to my service desk, in all the organizations that I've worked with in the last 30 years, think about it. Your service desk knows who uses technology well and who uses technology poorly. Who are the smart people? Who are the dumb people? Who are the people that every time they call them, you know that's an error between the chair and the keyboard? Yeah? What are the good applications and the bad applications? That this day is not going to be a good day because of the time of the year that it is. So we develop these people. And we turn IT service management, or Lean, into a permanent struggle to try to help a customer. That's what we're trying to do. So if we do that, people look at me and go, but ITIL says. And I said, well, okay. You know what? ITIL and Lean are both based on the same thing. Plan, do, check that, or plan, do, study, adjust. However you like to call it. And when we mapped them up, and it took 3 bottles of red wine in a hotel in Brussels to be able to create this. we realized that the questions on the right, we've been asking for many years in ITIL. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? How do you get there? These aren't new questions. But they are the same questions that Lean asked in just a slightly different way. And when we did that, I went, okay, so we have problem management. Yep, Lean says so do we. We have Ishikawa, and we have Pareto, and we have root cause analysis. Yep, so do we. And we need to be able to figure out a way to deliver services to the customer. Yep, so do we. And we need to be able to change and get rid of it and put it back into a different way again. Yep, so do we. And I went, okay, we're failing in introducing ITIL. Well, do you guys use ITIL at work? Is it like really embedded? And let me tell you my definition of embedded. Embedded means that your CIO has a foundation certificate or above, and that individual can walk out into the floor and answer any question from any person within their IT organization if they have one that's ITIL related. Anybody? Well, IT service management isn't something that just sits on the service desk floor, guys. It's a lifestyle. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to turn this into a lifestyle. That's what Lean is. Lean implementation failures are because it's not part of life. You don't know who to go ask for advice. You're not living it and doing it every single day. Everywhere. Even into your customer environment. There's no reason why your customers can't help you design the strategy to create a service and help you improve that service and become your partner in crime. And this is what Lean gets you to start doing and start thinking about, really looking at it end to end. Not just within your little IT world, but end to end. Customer to customer. And everything that goes in between. And we do that, but we look at this thing called downtime, which is different ways of getting rid of waste. So defects. How many of you have defects in your applications? Any perfect applications here? One? Anybody? Shucks. Okay. We have waiting. Do you guys wait for approvals? Can't do this now until the cab. Okay? Overproduction. We don't know what we're going to be doing on this particular day. The BBC was famous. The very first show of Who Do You Think You Are? You know, the guys who go and they trace back their history for an hour and they tell you this sad, sobbing story. And at the very end, the BBC went, and for more information, sign on to www.bbc.whoddoyouthinkyouare. 3.2 million hits later, within the first 2 minutes, guess what went down? So, employee knowledge. Have you guys had people walk out the door? I'm sure that all your stuff is very well documented and updated on a regular basis when it's supposed to be. There's knowledge transfer between the development and project teams and operations and the service management environment and your service partners. No? But all of this stuff is in ITIL, guys. If you go and look at this, this is not new. This isn't Lean. I can point to ITIL pages and coded pages where we talk about this. How do we transfer knowledge? That's all part of what we're trying to do in managing IT services. So these things of downtime, which is just the acronym for the letters up there, that's the thing we hate most, isn't it? That's what nobody wants to have. 5 nines, 6 nines, 9 nines, 11 nines. So this is what we're trying to get to, is cost-effective management. And oh, by the way, when you look at Toyota, in the Toyota production system, they go, yeah, we want quality. Yeah, we want safety. Yeah, we want people that have knowledge. And yes, we'd like to do it in a cost-efficient manner, but we never want to have a business case that is linked to firing anybody or getting rid of somebody. So imagine that every IT program or change that you had or improvement that you had did not in any way, shape, or form jeopardize a person's job. What would be the transformation through your organization all of a sudden? Would there be a slightly different level of interest in doing it? Well, the same applies to doing IT service management in ITIL. We're going to get really good and we're going to put in best practices. What did I just hear? My job is toast. I need to update my LinkedIn profile. Okay? So we need to do this in such a way that we use all the tools. And it's funny that, how many of you have heard DevOps? Anybody here heard DevOps? Yeah? Do you know the Phoenix Project? You read the book, The Phoenix Project?
Guy told us about it 2 weeks ago.
Gene Kim and Kevin Burr, they have a video that actually says, do not get rid of ITIL. The two guys who coined the phrase lean IT, Steve Bell and Mike Orson, and I'll bring up their books again in just a few slides, okay? They have a YouTube video, do not get rid of ITIL. It's great. It's misused and misintroduced into organizations, but it's great. So they want to keep this. This is, to them, this is their basis of creating service management processes that enable people to use technology in a good way. And they've got this like great room that they use to map programs and projects in. The Lexus was created in a room, the Toyota Lexus. It had one key performance indicator, the sound of a door. The head engineer for Toyota said, I want the door to sound this way. So the very first thing they did was they built a door in the middle of this room. And when the door matched the sound that he wanted, every other part of the Lexus was attached to that door. And what was the indicator as to whether or not that part stayed or had to be replaced? Yeah, they closed the door again. If the door didn't match, it came off. The reason why, they weren't a quality door, quality car. This was going to be the competitor in the United States for all of the U.S. quote-unquote quality cars. Okay? So they have this great way of managing programs. We use key performance indicators. And anybody in the organization should be able to match their key performance indicator to the person above them or to the person below them, or the person that way. And that way, when a decision is made, it's key. How many of you use red, amber, green somewhere in your organization? Yeah? We only use red or green. You are? You're not. And if any one of those key performance indicators on that tree turns red, the whole thing turns red. And all of a sudden, management is there with you. People are there with you to try to help you solve what the situation is. But it's in a respectful manner. It's not like the CIO of a major bank I used to work for that walked into a problem management workshop, locked the door from the inside, turned around and said, okay, you guys have been talking about this for about 30 minutes now. I just want to know who I'm supposed to fire. That's not a problem management workshop. Okay? This is a way of working in such a way that we get the thing back to green as quickly as possible. And we use this on a daily basis. It's called an A3. It's a one-page statement of what is the problem. And you can rip these off as you walk along the floors in Toyota and Nike and Amazon and Netflix. And the goal is that every single day you fill one of these things in and you solve the problem. So imagine imagine if the mentality was every day you solved the problem. Every day you tried to improve things. And you did that by asking why a few times. You did that by trying to map the stream of the process that you're trying to get to. Lots of visual management. We love visual things. Everything up on the board so that anybody can see what's happening and how to help you. And of course, because we're IT, we've got digital ways of doing it now. Because we don't have whiteboards, we have big computer screens and iPads and stuff. That's okay. As long as it's visual, we don't care. Okay? So I'll tell you a story. I'll try to wrap all this up. The chief technology officer of one of the largest banks in Belgium started at his new job, CTO. Okay? Which meant that he had been hired at least 3 months before, because people at that level need to leave, give 3 months notice before they get in, right? So of course, IT knew all about the fact that Frank was coming. No. But what's a CTO do? The very first day that he comes to work, he goes to meetings, he meets people. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He goes back to his office, and what's he want to check? What's he want to do?
Read his email.
Read his emails. Just one small problem. His desk is blank. There's no laptop, no desktop, no phone, no mobile phone, nothing. It's like empty. So who's he going to call? Please don't say Ghostbusters. So who's he going to call? Service desk. It's shift change. Second shift is on now. Hello, my name is Frank. I just started. Yes, we can see. We got your order late this afternoon. We're going to give you your equipment. We'll interview you tomorrow morning, and you should be able to get your equipment in the next 8 to 10 days. Now, Frank was a very calm individual. He realized that killing the person on the floor who didn't realize that he was talking to his boss's boss's boss was not going to be helpful. So he waited the next morning, and then he talked to his service level manager and his service desk manager. And this was the norm. And when he looked out into the IT area, well, you had a vendor, and you had a different vendor, and you had a different vendor, and you had HP. So, what else can I say? Okay? And people had Apples and iPhones, and everybody was different. And when he walked through the rest of the bank, everybody was different. It really was made to order, which was a slight step too far. Because until they actually ordered it after they interviewed you and then got it in, you literally weren't working the first week or so at the bank. You were on holiday, even though you came in every day. You couldn't be productive. So he made a small request. Can we have it day one, please? And he gave that to the brand new Lean IT team. And he said, go fix this. So we said, okay. What we'll do is we'll go out and we'll walk the process of getting kitted. Now, who starts the process of hiring someone? HR. So you can imagine HR's surprise when IT walked into their environment. What are you guys doing here? We're IT. Yeah, I know, we're HR. Go back to your IT world. You don't understand. You start this mess. So we walked with them, and the big guy is Frank, by the way. We walked with them all the way through all the different steps, all the different crazy approvals that had to occur. And we mapped it all up, and we took our learnings and created actions into that. And within 2 hours, we realized what some of the issues were, and we started removing them. Within 1 week, we developed a new process, and within 3 weeks, we had the outlines of a service catalog that was mapped to roles, and within 4 weeks, we had extended the whole thing to not only new employees, but people that moved jobs or moved locations or whatever across the bank. So we were impacting about 1,000 people a month throughout this organization with this new process. Saved a whole lot of money, made it a whole lot leaner. People came in and got to work on time, were able to sign on, had the right security rights. We designed a strategy. We designed what we needed to do to get the right security and availability, the right equipment there for them. We got that approved. We transitioned that into operations so that everybody knew what they had to do when, including the service partners that were helping us. And then we created a way of improving that over time, continually adding to the service catalog. We're making it easier to do self-ordering of stuff. ITIL and Lean. We also gave the process, new employee provisioning, an owner. Who did we make the owner?
HR?
Yeah, it's not an IT process. We were like one small part of it. It was their mess. Process. So we made them the owner of it. They were accountable for going around and making sure that it was improving and stuff like that. It wasn't my job. It was their job. So we needed to be able to do this, and we, got some really good customer satisfaction results. And the CIO liked what we did so much that he decided he was going to walk into the service desk environment. Now, he walked into the lean room and he said, this is really great. I'm really happy with what you guys have done. And I am now going to go out into the service desk environment. Okay, it's great. And he walked out of the room, waited about 20 seconds. He walked back into the room. What did he ask?
Where is it?
Where's the service desk? So we walked into the service desk. Remember, these work for him, right? He walked into the service desk and he was sitting there and he was watching. And he noticed that you were filling a box. You take a label and you put it on something, and you put that something into an envelope, and you put another label and you put it into a box. And before anybody could stop him, he walked over and said, "What you doing?" Now, because this was in Dutch, I didn't realize what was happening. I just saw the service desk manager's face go white and lose blood. Because the words coming out of the service desk employee's mouth was, "This stupid CIO came up with this policy that if you worked within Warsaw, you didn't need to have the security dongle. But if you worked outside of Warsaw, you had to have the security dongle. So I sit here and I do and send out 5,000 dongles a month to different individuals, new employees, people that have lost them, whatever. So here's this big guy. He picks up the box and he takes it over to the trash can, turns it over, throws everything into the trash can. The guy looks at him and goes, "What you doing?" He goes, "I'm the stupid CIO." This is what we mean by living IT service management or living lean on a daily basis. Every day he walked into an environment. He challenged his managers not to sign on first when they came in, but to go into the area that needed to be supported. He challenged his managers to go and do something different every year into the customer world, or in the IT world. You're going to be a developer this week. This is not a good idea, Frank. You do not want me coding. Yeah, I know, but you're going to go develop anyway. And someone else is going to sit at your desk. So we need to think about how we're going to work together, how we're going to go and integrate all this stuff into a way that we can create a day-to-day role and opportunity for people to be able to develop and share ideas. Raise your hand and say, I've got a problem, I'd like to solve it. Become part of a culture of an organization that enhances the use of technology. And that's one of the things of blending lean into ITIL or COVID or whatever. Okay, I just prefer calling it IT service management or service management. That helps you get the right things done at the right time, at the right level, at the right cost for organizations. Now, I told you about some books. Again, I think this is going to be on the website soon, so if you don't get this, but one is called Run, Grow, Transform by Steve Bell and Mike Orson. Please go look them up on YouTube. Mike Orson especially does some really, really good talks. It's O-R-Z-E-N. The other book is The Phoenix Project. It was the 2013 DevOps Book of the Year. And rumor has it that they're going to be coming out with a new book this year. It took them 10 years to write the first one. So they've been working on the second one for a few years now, and it's supposed to come out later this year. So I'm sure that they'll have a runaway bestseller again. And for more, there's the Lean Enterprise Institute. There are branches in the UK and all across Europe. And it has one of my favorite joining fees. It's free. Because as an independent consultant, free is good, right? So if you want to ask, please start with those. I think Lean can help getting people back to basics again because we can get people involved again. We can get people involved across the whole stream. We can start looking at the skills of individuals and matching those skills to what they need to do. And because we talk to customers and we get them into every single workshop that we do, managing complexity isn't that complex anymore. And if you want to integrate new ways of coding, we're all for that. Agile, all that other stuff, this is great. Just remember that it's all there to serve the customer. So I do this in a few different countries, so I just decided I was going to keep adding post-it notes until I got all the languages that I wanted up. Please tweet to me if you'd like to connect. I'm happy to do that. Again, we're running another tweet session on the 16th of April at 8 o'clock at night for managing complexity. It's being run by the IT Service Management Forum of the UK, but we have all kinds of people that are involved in it across the world. Okay? Any questions? Go ahead, sir.
Lean's not just applicable for IT though, is it?
Lean is being used in the NHS. It's being very successful there. It's getting, one of the things that happened in London was that you would walk in as a patient and you'd have a heart situation and then you would go to this place and then you would go to this place and then you'd go to another place and they put it all together into one place, and that made it a lot easier to, help you do something that was very critical to you, stay alive. So Lean has been used in aviation, it's been used in manufacturing, it's been used in banks. I've used it a lot in banks because that's traditionally where I'm from, is from the financial services environment. So it's in all kinds of places now. I mean, it started as, building cars, but it's branched out. Any other questions?
What about the value of automation in Lean? Do you go Lean first and then automate that, or does automation make you Lean?
It's a very good question. Taichi Ono, who was the chief engineer for Toyota, came over to the United States and turned off every single computer that was in the Toyota environment. And all the Americans looked at him and went, "What have you done?" And he went, "Until you know what you're doing, why are you depending on this thing?" So we Lean first, and then we automate that to get it better. And when we need to, we turn it off. Okay? Interesting question. slightly different view that Colin Rudd, who's very well known in the IT service management world, asked the other day in Norway. How many of you have technology in your organization that is managing your most critical applications, and it cannot be any newer than 7 years old? Any newer than 7 years old, managing all of your critical applications. Is anyone out there like that? There's at least a couple of smiles. Nobody wants to actually raise their hand. He then followed that up with another question. Why are you guys trying to run your IT using 7-year-old books? And that's when ITIL was written and updated last. And what you all have missed is all the community, the websites, the different interactions, the fantastic blogs and articles that have been written since then, and the joining of that community. It's the same with Lean. Okay? Any other questions? So I need to let my esteemed colleague take over now.
Sorry, I was just going to ask one before you finish. In terms of the fact that Lean should be throughout the organisation and certainly within the IT service area, you're saying that your CTO, CIO, etc. should also be very on board with this. How do you get them on board if they are not?
Well, the way we got interested in Lean is literally by the example that we had here. He heard about the fact that Lean was a way of getting something new done, and he realized after he talked to a lot of different individuals that whatever we were doing wasn't getting the job done. Okay? And he said, well, let's try something different. Let's just try Lean. And now, Frank went and he's met with people at Toyota Europe. He went and talked to Netflix because he wanted to be able to do change faster. And Netflix does 10,000 changes a day. Okay? That's not through a cab. Okay, so, he got involved that way. So it's just like business continuity management. You can always get a business continuity proposal through after you've had a problem. Yeah? Okay? I made a fortune after 7/7. You laugh and but that's when people start wanting to know, can you come test my business continuity, please? Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Richard, you need to do your math.
Now we hand over to John.
I think one of the best questions I was ever asked, and I've been around the block a few times, was after the year 2000, and we went into a room, there was a board of directors, and it was all business leaders there. Okay. And they said, we were talking about IT and business getting closer and communicating. And this guy just said, well, it's all right for you, he said. I said, well, come on, what do you mean? He said, well, that year 2000 thing. I said, aye. He said, we spent millions. I said, yep. He said, nothing happened. Yay! About this communication thing, we have to understand what the business is wanting before we can actually start adopting what they want. Anyway, my name is John McDermott. I work for HP Education. I run the service management portfolio and the security portfolio for EMEA. How's Blutin? Not really. I'm from Bolton. My team's doing really badly. Can I run my video from here? Do I have to do something? Can you set my video up, please? This is called the King of Siam. So I thought I'll introduce the topic with a small video. Only 3 minutes. There's no singing along. There's no dancing. So just please enjoy the video. Only 3 minutes, and then we'll go back to the. That's it. So what was that about? What's the title of this presentation? The King of Siam. Who was that?
King of Siam.
The King of Siam. Thank you very much. Good night. King of Siam. What was the King of Siam trying to do? What was the point of the film? He brought along an English tutor to do what?
teach his children to teach Western values, to start to move his country forward, to change the way that his country reacted to other countries. And he looked to Western ways as being the possible way of the future. So he brought his trainer along to start to integrate Western values and Western ways into the Thai ways. Makes sense, doesn't it? Management to change process is all important, especially when we talk about service integration and management. We also had a good example of process. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and. It's a process. Quite soon, when they started doing the process, it broke down because he wasn't focusing, he wasn't concentrating, he wasn't used to the process. Once he got used to the process, off they went. But they were doing like this, and he said, well, hang on a minute, we're doing the process, but this isn't how you do it in the West. I want to do it how we do it in the West. So he was now making changes to that process to become more of the West. Talking about service integration and management. Just a little video to introduce it. Like I said, I'm a bit off the wall, so I like this kind of thing. How do you do this? You just press left and right. Left and right, okay? So there's the video, and you've done that. So their agenda is Siam. We'll talk about end-to-end service management, industry views. This is... Okay, where did that come from? There. This is the wrong presentation.
Is it?
Yes, it is. I don't know why it's doing this.
Sure? Yeah, it is. It's completely wrong.
Okay, is it the USB stick?
Yep.
Any other lead questions?
I might have given you the wrong one. Oh, hang on, that's the right one.
Yeah.
ITIL, IT Service Management, COVID,
Carry on, please. Thank you.
tweak groups. How many of you are going to the IT Service Management annual in November? We're going to have a lot of good speakers. It's going to be in London this year, so that's going to be someplace that people are going to have an interest in going to instead of someplace that and beyond. There'll be DevOps. We're trying to get Kevin to come, so he'll be interesting. You guys know the ITSM review? You go to the ITSM review website. Lots of good articles there on IT service management from all kinds of people, up to and including the IT skeptic, Mr. Rob England. He's come out of the closet, so he writes on a regular basis. You might see some articles from some Texan guy there on occasion. So they're doing a lot of good stuff, and they're trying to get a big community together. They have a mascot. The IT Service Management UK now has a mascot. It happened by accident. One of the girls has a penguin toy, and she always walks around with penguins, so her nickname in Tweet was Pengy. And last year at the IT Service Management annual dinner, so now everybody is in tux and all dressed up. And you have Gwina Curry, I think that's right?
Green and Curly.
Yes. She's our moderator for the evening. And if you didn't know who she was amazing. She fit right in. I mean, she was introducing people, she was doing all kinds of stuff. And the person who got the most contribution, the most active in the IT service management community through grants, decided what he wanted was he wanted Gwina Curry to hold the penguin while he accepted the award. And as
My fault.
No, don't worry at all.
so as his big award was handed, he had this penguin in his hand, two-handed trophy thing. He handed her the penguin and turned around very quickly. And now there's this picture that's on all the IT service management websites with Gwina Curry holding this little penguin and Stuart standing next to her.
Oh,
Big awards.
And that moves forward and backwards, yeah?
laser pointer if you need it.
We try to put some fun stuff into the environment. And for those of you who've heard rumors that we meet at pubs and restaurants and drink copious amounts of stuff, that's true. So please come join us, and we're trying to get it out to different parts of the UK. So we're trying to branch out from the London area and maybe
Well done.
you might say that I couldn't possibly go.
Daniel, thank you very much.
Well,
indeed.
he's done that.
The art of service management. Just make it happen, just do things and fill in where you can. So our agenda this evening will be talking about the cloud journey and why Siam is so important. Industry and enterprise views. Why is our industry saying? What are the industry saying? What are the pitfalls to avoid when we start going on this journey? And I like to use this phrase, journey, because it's a journey. You can go as far on the journey as you want, you can make stops, whatever you want to do. Pitfalls to avoid. Then we'll talk about Siam itself. Some people say service integration and management. Some people refer to service integration and application management. By the way, word to word, service desk, help desk. You're not going to pass an exam on this. We'll talk and look at a blueprint and operating model, and then we'll look at the emerging role of the service integrator. I could put an HP diagram up there, which is similar to an IBM diagram, similar to lots of different diagrams that these organisations, such as my own, look at. And it'd be massive and it's complicated. I've left that to the very last. Okay? Because otherwise you'd be running for the hills. And we don't want to run for the hills. So let's have a look. What enterprises are saying? Well, they're saying quite a lot. They're saying we've got small-scale projects, we want strategic deployment. The problems are we've got vendor lock-in, but we want them to be open, flexible, etc., etc. While you're reading all those things, I'll ask a question. Are these slides going out? Yeah, so people, they will go up there on the website. So feel free to use them and abuse them, okay? If you're going to abuse them, take the XP logo off, won't you? Yeah. But what I'm saying is that this is good stuff. It's good ready reference material, and good service management is not reinventing the wheel. So please use the slides. Yeah. If you see something that's HP copyright, which you'll see on the last slide, then please, refer to it as HP copyright. We're not alone. This is one model. Look at the government model. So you've read all this stuff. We want open, flexible solutions. We want simplified delivery. We want partners and experts. Just like the King and I. We wanted an expert. We brought in an expert. Teaches people parts of the culture. The lack of know-how. He brought Deborah Kerr in to do that. And Deborah Kerr never sang a note on that song. She was dubbed all the way through. Isn't that good service integration? Looking at a decent outcome. We want single delivery models, we want hybrid delivery models. Look at these industry views. I've highlighted one in red that I'll come back to. But more than 50% of people are talking about the problem with the cloud is security. Their concerns are with security. And I mentioned to two guys here earlier that if you're looking at cloud and you're looking at cloud security in any serious way, you should look at European law. And that is the ENISA. It's a big thick book. There's also an American organisation called NIST, and look at an organisation called the Cloud Security Alliance. The reason why I mentioned the CSA, the Cloud Security Alliance, is that I'm HP. They're vendor neutral. Very much like ITIL, very much like service management. We like independent organisations, recommending stuff. And they do a cloud security course called Cloud Certificate in Cloud Knowledge, CCSK. Go and do that. You can do a one-day course on that, but don't think you can take a one-day course and pass an exam. You've got 2 thick books to read. But you need to understand this because European legislation is quite strict, the same as UK legislation is quite strict. You know that you're not allowed in the UK to have any data off UK shore. If you think of all the call centres that we went to in India many, many moons ago, no data was actually stored in India, in Malaysia, or in the Far East, or anywhere outside the boundaries of the UK because of our law. So you've got to look at that. This is very interesting, if I've got the pointer right. 43% are finding the right strategic partner for a cloud strategy. 43%. Now, HP can help you with this, but I'm not here to sell you HP, because IBM can help you, Accenture can help you, Atos can help you, and Daniel can help you. He's shaking his head about somebody else, but I'm not going to say anything else. But it's about trust. You've got to trust these people. And you've got to find out what have they done in the past to make you trust them and then go on that journey. 66% of enterprises have used professional services to evaluate and install cloud services. But I'll tell you something else. In America, we did a survey, HP did a survey, and said 60% of those organisations that tried to implement a cloud strategy bought the tin and failed. Hello? Bought the tin and failed. Why? I bought the tin, I bought the software, I plugged it all in, and what did I have? Well, you had a lot of software with a lot of tin. Did you have a cloud strategy? Did you have this? No. But here's something, right, that's really going to put the cat among the pigeons. It's that. Now, industry view says that IT delivery will be cloud-based. IT delivery will be cloud-based in 2016. 75% of IT delivery will be cloud-based in 2016. My personal opinion is that that's about right. 50%, in my view, not HP's view, this is my view, 50% of data centres in the next 10 years will close. Will close. This university has a data centre. It will close within 10 years because it will amalgamate with a university, a cloud university data centre. Yes? They'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. Why should we keep reinventing the wheel? We will buy in services from all kinds of places and we will link these services together. And this is what service integration and application and management is all about. This is the new, in my opinion, face of IT. It's not about programming. Yeah, we've got brilliant programmers. They're over there. But you'll buy these services from cloud providers. Or a hybrid of I support the tin and I'll buy the software and I'll make software as a service. So you've already got infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But we will go down this route. We talk about disasters happening. It's about this security. When Amazon failed, remember Amazon, big cloud provider. I'm not here to disparage anybody. It's not my business. But Amazon fell over. Their cloud service fell over. How many servers went down? I guess, Richard, just a guess. Two servers went down, and no, the whole cloud service for Amazon went down. The whole of Amazon's cloud service. How many servers? Just a guess.
2,000.
Sorry?
2,000.
2,000. More. Come on, lots more.
20,000.
More. Come on. 12 million virtual servers went. 12 million virtual servers. When I said the whole of Amazon went down, it went down. 12 million virtual servers. How did they get it back up? What happened? They did service management. They had some good service management processes in place and found out what had gone on and they could backtrack and actually brought it back up. Fantastic job from Amazon. Well done, Amazon. But we get all these situations and it's all about applying the amount of service management. You cannot automate to deliver cloud services without good service management. You can't do it. How can you do it? You'll just automate something that's bad. I was going to say something rude, but I think I might be going to do it, so I won't say that. What else have we got? So, let's go on to common pitfalls. There's no need to involve the business early on in the process. You're mad. You're mad. Do you think you're IT? You know, IT 30 years ago when I was I was in the 20s. All right. But 30 years ago, we used to turn around to the business and ask them for something. Come have an HR system. Don't worry. I'll sort that. Don't worry. No. I said, I'm IT. I'll sort this for you. You see what I'm doing? I'm telling him what he wants, or what I think he wants. Wrong. You know, and it says in the books all the time, talk to the business. We need to involve business from day one. Why? The business go to the cloud. The business are already saying this. This is the service that I want, go and get it. But it won't plug into this existing IT. I don't care. This is what I want, go and plug it in. You know, you bring your own device. This is the thin end of the wedge. They're going to do this with software and services. And you've got to be ready to be able to cope with that. Service integration and management is key to this, and we don't have the skills yet. We don't have the skills in general terms. We don't have them. We will have to learn them. BCS, we need your help, because we have to start training people on these new different skills. Look at this one. We can absorb cloud within our current organisation, processes and business operations. Are you mad? Just think you can just buy the tin and switch it on. It doesn't work. And the ones in grey here, these are just like, these are the main ones, and I've just put some more down there. You know, no plan for end user adoption, no deliberate long-term strategy. What, are you mad? So what is Siam? I got that off Wikipedia, I think. It sounds reasonable. I'm happy with it. Lets you manage the service providers, different service providers. Remember what I was saying, you'll have 4 or 5 different service providers providing one end-to-end service, and I'll come on to that in a second. In a consistent and an efficient way. It means it's going to be process-driven, whether these are your processes, whether they're the supplier's processes. Service integration and management should look at the supplier, look at their process, and I'm not talking with a fine tooth, with a big magnifying glass, but do they meet, are they going to be compliant to make our services compliant with our governance that we receive from our board of directors? Is it going to do that? So why Siam? It is multi-supply sourcing of IT services from inside and outside corporate walls. You know what that means. It's either internal or external. This will be a mix. I'll explain how that will happen in the next slide or so. Cloud is driving the need for service integration. Why? Well, what caused the explosion of cloud? Was it the tin? Was it the storage? Was it the processing power? No, it was the networking. Pure networking. I can do this fast now. I can do this fast. And what else is cloud doing? It's creating a new style of business person. 30,000 startup companies every year in the UK. 30,000. How many of those 30,000 startup companies have got a laptop or some local IT in their rented office? Probably about 50%, which I'm probably being a bit under-generous with it. It's probably more than that. Yeah? Office 365, ladies and gentlemen, is a cloud-based service. I do not need Microsoft Office or Exchange or anything like that on my desktop. And if it's on my desktop, it can blow up and I've lost all my data. Nope, they're going to Office 365 and other supply organisations. These startup companies, once they start up, will expand. Are they going to expand by eventually building their own data centre? Not on your Nelly. Not on your Nelly. They're just going to say, I'll just have more of this, and I'll have more of this, and I'll have more of this. And when they want some of this, and some of this, and some of this, they're going to need you, sir, to come and integrate the damn thing. To make sure it all works. To make sure it all works. That's what this is all about. If we do this, this is old style, right? And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying throw it all out now, because that would be wrong as well. It'd be churlish, it'd be arrogant. It'd be going back to 30 odd years ago. But this is an old way of working. And it still might be right for your business. Oh, I mentioned business there. It's got to be right for your business. You can't do things for the sake of doing things. We in HP, we've got an R&D set up. We allow people with very long hair and walk around in sandals like this. Yes? Well, they do. Seriously, they live in Bristol. Our Bristol lads, have you not? Some of the guys, you will say, I wouldn't employ him. We employ them because they do walk around like this. These are geniuses. But they burn out after about 10 years. And we say to them, go into that room and do what you want. Have a play. When we came into this faculty tonight, I think we maybe a bit late, but we came and there were students here, 18 to 25-year-old, and they're building robots. Can I ask you, sir, I'm not doing DevOps, were you building robots at university? Well, there you go. Not many, yeah? They're all at it. They're all at it. They're all at it these days. It's moving along. So this style here is very expensive. Yeah, we deliver services, but it's located, it's good enough for my company, not good enough for anybody else. It's better if we do this. This is a section of an end-to-end service, and I've called it the retail shopping company, and the star says it's a need for service integration and management. Why is that? Well, because they're not all our services. Let's have a look at this one. This barcode scanner might be ours. Okay? So we're Tesco's or we're John Lewis, someone like that. We've got a barcode, so people buy something and I'll scan in what they've bought. That will then go to the cash and accounting system, which might be bought in as well. It might be Sage or one of the big ones. And then you'll present your credit card. And as soon as you present your credit card, it'll go into a machine and then it'll go off to the cloud. That credit card verification service is run in the cloud. It's not run by Tesco's or the retail shop anymore. It never was. It will go off and it will do all that work. On that, it will check who I am, say I am, PIN, OK, and all this. It will also say, have I got the money on the account? It will then take the money off the account. It will then give it to the retailer. It will debit my account. It will then do all the bits and pieces that it needs to do, so that when I go and spend it again, try and spend some more money on it, it's got the current balance. That is not done by Tesco's. This is not done here. It is done by an independent organisation. So all the retailers and all the world are already using cloud services. They're already using somebody else's service integrated to their own. And let's use another example here. So the cash and accounting, we've got stock control, which might be their own Tesco's. Distribution centre might be by a third party as well. The production, the making of the goods themselves, whether it's a pair of jeans or whatever, might be by another organisation. And the marketing might be in-house. What I'm trying to get at is, this is just a small selection. Look at your end-to-end services. They're made up of discrete services. And it's only when it's lumped together do you actually get a business outcome, which is going into Tesco, buying a product, walking out with the product and giving Tesco's your cash. That's what we mean by end-to-end service. So part of service integration and management, one thing that would be nice if you're going on that route is, have you ever deconstructed a service? Go out and deconstruct a service. Pick, and don't do it yourself, go to your business and say, what is the most important business in the organisation? And Daniel, you've worked in many, many banks, right? And I remember a colleague of mine, you might know him, Stuart Rance, we went into a bank, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and the IT said, these are all the services, and Stuart said, okay, pick which is the most important to the business, and they ticked off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then he brought the business in. Different. Their number 8 on the list was the business's most important. And then they started to deconstruct. Deconstruct, make sure it just validates your service catalogue if anything else. So, from in-house, there you go, to where we are now, where I think we are now, we've got single supplier, external suppliers, 1 or 2 internal delivery, and this is the model we're going to. The complexity of operation increases with the flexibility that you want it. And that means you've got to control it. And the only way you're going to control it is with service management. Daniel mentioned ITIL. Terrific. What a great framework. He also mentioned DevOps. I love DevOps. Read the book. Fantastic book. And it's a good book. It's like a novel. It's not like reading a boring ITIL book. I mean, it'll send you to sleep. It is reading a novel, and that helps you on the way. And in that book, it refers to ITIL on several accounts, saying, isn't this good? This is what you need. But take a fresh look at it. So for me, DevOps is doing ITIL from a different perspective. That's all it is. A different perspective. And it's a great perspective, because it means they're talking to each other. And that's what it takes. We need to talk. We've got to stop telling development you are rude people by throwing stuff over the wall. We've got to stop doing that because it's helping nobody. And we also got to understand that it's development that dictates how much processing power we need to run an application or a service, how much bandwidth it needs to support that service, how much server capacity and how much storage capacity it needs. It then passes that to operation, who then provision it and then look after it in the future. Let's make sure that these roles and responsibilities are clearly defined, because that's where we fall over as well. And I don't believe in arguing. I'll argue with the business. But what we're trying to do is this: increase the agility, the business growth at a lower cost and customer satisfaction. If we can leverage these partnerships with HP, with IBM, with whomsoever, yeah, we'll get there. SAP, you watch SAP. SAP will be bringing out a box very shortly, I expect. And you will buy SAP, the software, and they'll say, there's a box. That's it. Thank you. SAP on it. In other words, we tailored that box, that infrastructure, all in that, just for SAP. Isn't that clever? we call it Marines of Britain. That's where it's going. I mean, 20 years ago I said, I predicted at some point, I told you I'm a bit mad, I said, software will be sold with the box. You buy the box and have everything on it. If you want a payroll system, this is the box. And it works. And we know because it's in a protected environment. We'll go that way, but we're going that way faster than we thought because of software as a service. And when I talk about cloud provisioning, when I can pick out my credit card again, and I can buy now, on the internet, I can buy 2,000 MIPS of processing power, 15 terabytes of data, storage, etc., all for a small period of time or a long period of time. I can do that now, and it will be provisioned in seconds. What Daniel said, 10,000 changes. A cloud provider has to be able to do that like that. That's thousands of changes every day. We can do that because we can automate it if we get the process right. Yes, it's always about underlying the process. So, we can do this. This is where we are at the moment. Dedicated physical. We're going on to the evolving the current state. Where we want to be is this. We want open, converged architecture, management and security. That's where we want to be. This is the blueprint, and I'm going to speed because I know I'm behind. But if you follow this in a circle, you'll see it. Then from the service consumption, for the line of business, service consumption, we go, this is the demand, goes all the way down, the lead, the govern, the plan, the build, the run, and then enabling, and it goes back up again. So it's going round in a circle, round and round in a circle. That, to me, is quite a simple, but high level, simple operating model. There are so many things that you need to define when you talk about service integration and application management, because you can take it all the way down to a service cost. And if you look at the government website, they actually define, and they've got 3 or 4 pages on each service desk, how service integration and application management should work. How you do it in your organisation is entirely up to you, but you're going to need some help. And I'm not saying I'm here, I'm the person to help you with that. Choose an organisation, get some good credentials off them, and then do a test with them. Yes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just because I've got an exam that says I'm an ITIL expert, I don't advertise the fact. That's quite rude, isn't it? Yeah? Imagine it, don't worry, I'm an ITIL expert. I've run an here. Some questions. When you move into the cloud, as Daniel said, that's it. I'll update my LinkedIn profile. We're going to the cloud. Everything's done. I'm gone. Bye. I better go off and find something else to do. No, you can change your mindset. You can change people. Bring them along the journey. Retrain them. Retrench them. We've got fantastic, valuable experience. They are your best resources. So why not use them? They are your future. How do you manage the risk? Okay, security, cloud, etc., etc. You can't ask how do I manage the risk until you look at your own corporate governance. And I'm not talking about your IT governance, because to my mind, there's no such thing as IT governance. There is corporate governance, and how IT supports that corporate governance, or enables that corporate governance to take place. You might call that IT governance if you wish. I just call it governance. How do I future-proof our investments, and how can I accelerate adoption? These questions I can't answer for you tonight, because we have to look at your organisation, you have to look inwardly about what it is. And remember, one of the first things, you can't look inwardly on yourself until you bring the business along with you. You cannot do this. If you look inwardly on yourself, you're doing it for your own gratification. Sorry, it sounds like a bit of a warning shot, doesn't it? As though we've created World War III here. Well, in some cases, you have to transform, you have to change. You have to change the way your organisations are working and the way that they are reflecting the business. Otherwise, the business will drive you. And again, I'm sorry if it sounds like a threat, but salespeople nowadays will not go to an IT manager and say, do you want some monitoring software? I can write it, well, I don't know about my budget. No, they're going to the business manager. Excuse me. Do you know what he's doing in IT? Do you know what he's doing? I can show you. I can give you some monitoring software that will tell you when something goes wrong, how much it's going to cost the business. And it'll flash up how many dollars. So as Daniel was saying, red, amber, green, what's the amber about? Well, what's that? We're about to lose money? What is it? Yeah? We either is or we isn't. Yeah? We're either working or we're not. Well, are these false service level agreements? Change the way you do your service level agreements. It's a whole new ball game. Look at them. 5 nines is meaningless. 12 nines, okay. Nothing is unbreakable. And even if you have 12 nines, there's that still, the 13.1 that can go wrong. We could throw money at this. The key to all this is here. Is the investment worth the expected benefits? No matter what you do, if your organisation wants to go cloud for cloud's sake, you're daft. We know that. You've got to have some business benefits. These are business benefits. So you want to go to your business and say, are you happy with the way that we provision services for you? Ask the basic question. Are you happy with the way that we provision services for you? No, well, what you're not happy with? Daniel's example. Well, it takes 2 weeks for a new starter to get a laptop and an account and all this. You can fix those quite simple. You don't need cloud for that. You might say, yes, well, when our developers when we want a new service, we go to our development and our development turn around and say, yeah, you can have that in 3 weeks, but it's going to take 2 months for IT to provision the kit. Is that what you're not happy about? You know what I mean? And now you might say, well, actually, by buying some temporary cloud services before we bring in the provision kit and so on and so forth, we can actually help development on the way to start doing the modelling, to start doing the testing, and in parallel, while we order the kit to come into our data centre, if that's what you want. It's something that you might want to do it this way because it might be your information that you don't want to go out of your data centre. It might be that secure that you want it there. So use the modelling, use cloud to model and to do this, and then bring it all in here, and the things run in parallel so that when development have built it and said, right, we're ready to release it, it can go straight onto the services being provisioned. Use it for practical, pragmatic ways. So, the service integrator will have the IT organisation, will have the service integrator role and service operations. All this is about that trust. Trust, and trust. And with that, you wrap around service management. And you can do that from a strategic perspective, from an operation, and a tactical, which is mixing it in. My phrase is that the service integrator is also tactical because he or she lives between this business world and the service operation world. Service integrator has got to be multitude. You've got to be able to look at your services and the service providers and say, Are they providing the service, and have they got the background to give me comfort in signing up with them? The role of the service integrator is what you make it. This is one example. This is not, right? If we put this into an ITIL book, people would think that this is the law, right? This is another problem with people reading ITIL. They think that it's the law. It isn't. It is guidance. Yeah? It's just guidance. It's best practice that we've all collectively come towards and said, think about doing this. Think about doing this. So this is just one example of the role of a service integrator. It's more complex than that. And I'm going to finish off with this big one. Are you ready? I'm glad you all sat down. There you go, that's it. Yes. Service integration and management. Let's have a look over here. What does this say? Demand. Oh look, we've got business service integration. And then we've got the service provider integration. And we've got supply and demand, and Siam sits there. But it goes through everything. From support, enhanced incident management, multiplier, problem config, all this stuff that you know about, availability management capacity. Yes, it has to deal with all this kind of stuff. Yes? So if I'm trying to glue this gentleman's service with this gentleman's service, with this lady's service and that lady's service, do you all speak? And if something goes wrong, what's the process to identify it? Is it in your domain, your domain, your domain, or your domain? How are you going to do all this? And guess it's going to be flexible, it's going to be quick, it's going to be agile. So like me coming and saying, we can provide you with this, good. But what's the backup, what's underneath it all? And all this diagram does, it says of the things that you've got to consider. How you construct that and then go to this depends what model you want to create, because this is a model. And when you go on this journey, you know, you go into the room, as Daniel said, you go into the room and you have whole many workshops, and you put up the sticky notes on the board, and you put up your processes and your integration and all that kind of thing, and you walk around the room. I'm old school, okay? I'm very, very old school. I remember a company called ICL, International Computers, okay? And they didn't make their own. They bought everything from Japan and China and things like this. But what ICL did, they designed the circuit board. And they had this warehouse, and it was blank. And the circuit board was painted on the floor, and people walked. Serious! People walked the circuit board, and the different layers and the different layers. That's what you've got to do with this. This is a multi-layered model. It's just an introduction to Siam. I'm saying, just, you know, service integration and management is here. It's going to bite you, and your business needs you to do this. That's it. Sorry, I've done it a bit now. I kind of like this stuff, and I hope I'm not coming across as too negative, because sometimes I can do, and I do apologise for that. And but I do like this stuff, and I'm quite serious. You know, in 10 years, 50% of the data centres will be gone. Okay, because we'll be using cloud services. You won't be buying a laptop in 3 years' time to do stuff on it. You'll be doing it all in the cloud, because again, communication will expand and expand and expand. I've got fibre in my building, 20 megabyte, whatever it is, fibre in the building. So there's no need for me to have anything at all on my desktop at home. There's no need. Whether or not I trust it or not, I don't know. You know, if I use Gmail, you want the Americans to look at your emails. If you don't want Americans to look at the American government, that is, to look at your emails, don't use Gmail. Go to Microsoft. Use Hotmail. Sorry. I had a coffee, I'll talk for you.
We've got time for a few questions.
Yeah, can I ask one?
Yes, sir.
I know you talked about it will depend on the organisational context. But
Yes.
what sort of competency would you expect to see in an organisation that runs the SIAM effectively?
Well, I can't tell you exactly prescriptive, because that would be wrong of me. But I would hope that they'd be process orientated for the start. Dan, if you want a chicken, eat chicken if you wish. Process orientated.
Well, you're going to use somebody that understands, from the IT point of view, you're going to need somebody that understands suppliers and how to integrate those suppliers together. So before you were going and buying products and putting them onto your own kit, now you're going to be going and buying suppliers and putting it onto some kit somewhere. Okay? So it's the same thing that you're doing today, or that you did 10 years ago, kind of different and bigger. So you're going to need supplier management, you're going to need security management, you're going to need financial management, you're going to need some way of managing the level of services that they're doing, interacting across them. You're going to need to have some way of trying to figure out, like John said, where is the problem? Because Amazon is going to look at Salesforce, is going to look at Rackspace and go, it's them. And you need to be the one as the service integrator, that retained organization. You have to retain that accountability. So your business needs to have a very good retained IT organization that has the power and control over these suppliers. But on the flip side, as John said, it starts with the business. If all of a sudden you're not delivering and making these services anymore, it's not like your company is going to stop marketing, you stop doing HR.
You're going to be doing more.
Yeah, you're just going to be doing more.
More and more and more. And the business will want it like this. And they'll say, I want that, connect it to that. And when you connected it, I still want all my reporting. I still want all these metrics coming out. I still want the red, the red and green. I still want this, this and this. Make it work. That's your job. Now, whether or not you specialise in one of these areas, it could be that you do. And you might have a series of people that specialise in this stuff who can look at security from a supplier perspective. Looking at security from a supplier perspective, what are you really looking at? You're looking at the supplier's capability to follow your governance from your organisation. You're not looking at, are they secure? Have they got barbed wire around the data centre? No, it's saying, from my company's perspective, our governance policy states that our data or information shall follow these rules. Are you going to break those rules? Or are you going to enhance those rules? Are you going to help me to support those rules? That's the questions you've got to start to ask. Does that make sense? Yeah? I know it's easy for me to say, but, it is. Why, isn't it? It is easy for me to say.
So that's the principle around contestation, isn't it? And having suppliers mixing up and not being locked in for too long, competing against each other, getting the best offering.
So any organisation that does outsourcing, IBM, HP, these guys, you've got to give confidence to your potential customers. You need cloud security. You need that, the tick in the box. Yeah? Are you going for ISO 27001 that says, 27001 is going to be stroke 2 very shortly. Are you going to go for that? And if you are, why are you going for it? Well, first of all, HP are going for it. Do you know why? It gives our customers confidence. We are NIST compliant. Why? Because it gives our customers confidence. But that, just because we're 27001 or you're 27001 or you're NIST compliant, you're CSA compliant, you could be as compliant until your eyeballs. It still doesn't answer the question. Will your organisation support the governance around my data? That's still the question. Just the fact that you've got these medals, the badges, it's not a get-out clause. It just says, you're actually differentiated from these organisations that don't. Why? Because those organisations that don't can't be bothered. And if they can't be bothered to do some basic stuff, maybe they're not going to be bothered to do what I want. Yeah? Or to fulfil my needs. It's needs that count. Again, sorry, apologies for sounding a bit maybe over the top and threatening, but that's my northern way.
There's all this drive towards cloud,
Yes,
being a lot cheaper. Is the business model that people are working towards that they're going to rank the price up once we go away from the fact that we haven't got a data centre anymore?
Exactly.
They'll then be putting the price up.
Right. Great question. Yeah. As soon as you sign up with say HP, 3 months later we're going to stick it. No, because of the competition out there. Right. Service integration and management. You should make sure that the services you're putting together are so flexible that you can say, you hack me off, I'm going here. And take that section of the service out and give it to it, or to her. That service integration and management at the wonderful, nirvana level, shall we say. Okay, let's deal with your cost. Why would you go to buy cloud services? Because they're cheap? How do you know they're cheap?
Well, they're cheap at the fact that they're on a revenue basis rather than they're on a capital.
Well, okay. So that's a different argument. If I am selling processing power at $10 a MIP, right, for 1 day, how does that compare with your MIPS cost? And don't tell me you don't know, because if you don't know, why are you trying to buy something off me when you don't know the cost of your own stuff? Because how do you know it's cheaper? Okay? Cloud is brilliant for bursting, right? Bursting out. And yes, because what you don't want to do is have that amount of infrastructure when you're only using that, 50 weeks a year. That is 52 weeks a year. That is 50 weeks a year. So you've got all this capacity for 50 weeks. I told you this run away. Come on. Let me say it to ladies. So why should you build capacity for this when you only need that on a regular basis? Why don't you use the cloud to burst into this and then come back? Burst into this and come back. We HP do that with DreamWorks. You've heard of DreamWorks, animation company? DreamWorks have got that amount of capacity. With that amount of capacity, they can render, put together animation that lasts up to 30 minutes. Okay? A movie, an American film costs about 2 to 3 hours. So they need that capacity to actually make the movie. 30 minutes, and then render it all. So they come to HP and we do that. So they burst into our cloud just to do that rendering. Otherwise, they would have something in the order of between $30 and $40 million worth of infrastructure that they only use that much of the time. How many times do they need to render a film? 6 times a year. So why have all that infrastructure? So there's 2 things. Great question. Number 1, know your own costs. Know your own cost of your infrastructure and the cost of providing that infrastructure from a capital and a revenue, obviously, from a capex and operating expenditure. Then you can start considering cloud providers. And when you do go onto this integration service and start bringing in things, right, adding value, because it should only be, talking about value, you should only be bringing cloud services in if they're adding value to your organisation, not as an excuse not to spend capital. That's fatal, because you just rip the company apart. So understand your costs. Sorry.
I think we need to stop now. There might be a couple of minutes after we can chat to John or Daniel on a one-to-one basis. Thank you both very much for very interesting and rousing talks. So, thanks to both of you. Also, thanks to the missing Maggie Miller who brought the whole thing together for us. Right? So she would have heard that.
I'll tell you a story, just a quick story. Me and Maggie used to work together at the old CEGB, the Central Electricity Generating Board, which is obviously defunct now. And Daniel said about you and your colleague going into and having an argument in the so did Maggie and I. Right? I was the operations manager, she was the software, she was the support manager, and we looked at all these books and we argued the toss. And then we went down the pub and 3 or 4 pints later, we came to the conclusion we were arguing not about the process, because the process was right. We developed the process together. It was about who's going to be accountable for applying those bits of the process. All right? And it was, Game of Thrones. All right?
Thank you very, very much.
We've got to do it all this time. husband, you kidding? Hey, it's great, guys. Pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much for
Really
your
good,
help.
thank you so much, Daniel. That's been great.
Thank you.